Almost half a decade, 73 races in the making. Santino Ferrucci on pole position here at Portland International Raceway. I don't think any of us here expected it, but that's the kind of weirdness that this town and this track can bring. Welcome back from Outlap Media. It's Jackson Lambros here to recap this whole day of action here at the final road course round of the 2014 NTT Data INDYCAR Series. Frankly, a rather eventless initial practice session, a couple of small offs, but nothing crazy. This is a track that we've seen drivers testing the limits, as we talked about with Joe earlier, but it's really been more of just games of inches. And somehow, some way, Santino Ferrucci, who mind you was incredibly quiet in the opening stages of qualifying, managed to bump Joseph Newgarden into the Fast Six, was one of the slowest guys in that final six entries. And out of nowhere, when it seemed like Pelot was the man to beat on track, was the fastest, getting his first ever NTT Data Pole Award. Let's hear from him trackside, or should I say pit side, Santino Ferrucci. Congrats, boss.
Thank you.
Santino, I think the people behind you just kind of described the emotions you're probably feeling right now.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, what an incredible day. I mean, to have a pole for my first of my career in IndyCar, and first in a while for the team, just coming into this road course of all places too, it's been incredible, and we're just super stoked and can't wait to see what tomorrow brings.
It's been a game of inches and milliseconds this whole weekend so far for lap time. What do you think was the X factor to get yourself here?
You know, we've been so good in race pace and used tires. I knew that if we had enough to squeak it into the six, that a used tire run for us would be really good, and you know, we were able to do that, and here we are.
Let's rewind the clock real quick to 2018. There's a young kid coming over from Europe to finally give IndyCar racing a try on the streets of Detroit. Right now, what would you say to that kid?
Don't give up on the dream, man. I mean, it took a long time to get here, and it's the happiest I've ever been in my life, and this has got to be one of the biggest accomplishments to my career to date.
For the first time, Santino Ferrucci on pole position. Obviously, a long time coming for not only Santino Ferrucci, but for AJ Foyt Enterprises, which outside of the 500, and a fantastic effort at the 500 from them as always, but have been struggling, especially at the road courses. So when you see this amazing performance that we haven't seen since maybe Takuma Sato at Long Beach in 2014, where is this coming from? And the simple answer might be this team right here, Team Penske, of course, now in a technical alliance with AJ Foyt this year. Now they're on the short side of that with Will Power starting on the outside of row one. And when you think of a guy who's always fast on Sundays, or excuse me, fast on Saturdays, it's almost always Will Power, and manages to just barely lose out to the young kid from Woodbury, Connecticut. So let's hear from the Toowoomba, Australia native starting outside of row one, Will Power. Will Power filling out the front row. Felt like this whole weekend it's been a matter of inches for qualifying and for lap time in general. Talk to me about what might have been missing there.
A little mistake out of 12, that was it. But I mean, that would have only about equaled his time, to be honest. I mean, he did a bloody good lap, so it was going to be tough to beat him for pole. But stoked to get through the fast six, then get on the front row. Certainly the further up you are, the better chance you have of avoiding a bit of a mess in the first turn. Ultimately, you just got to keep finishing ahead of Pelot. That's the goal. So we'll see how tomorrow plays out.
Still high spirits for tomorrow in the championship going forward?
Yeah, you never know what can happen, man. Like, if you just keep finishing on the podium here to the end, I mean, ultimately, if you look at it, it's almost a quarter of the races left. You know, 17 races, 4 races left. Like, it's almost a quarter. It's a little less than a quarter. So that's a lot of points available. And we'll see what happens.
Will Power alongside Santino Ferrucci tomorrow. Obviously, some fighting words from Will Power saying, hey, I'm down in the count, but I'm not out from this championship fight for Alex Pelot, who, by the way, is still very much in a prime position, even though he almost crashed during qualifying, is still just a few spots behind. And would like to remind you, for championship picture, this is not something that's impossible to achieve for Will Power. Dario Franchitti was 57 points behind and was able to actually overcome that and win the championship. And I believe 2008, Joe can verify that for me. But a couple of new faces that we haven't seen for a while in the Fast Six. Obviously, Santino Ferrucci, fantastic job from him. Same for Graham Rahal, great pace out of that 15 RLL car. But with that being said, Scott McLaughlin, who we thought was fast this entire weekend so far, just did not show up for pace when it came to going fast during qualifying. And starting back in 15th. Same could be said for all of the Arrow McLaren cars. None of them in the Fast 12. Pato O'Ward all the way back from outside the top 20. And the best part is, frankly, none of us know what this could mean towards the race. This is such a chaotic race, especially when you think about turn 1 and seeing past winners, Takuma Sato getting a win here. Anything and everything is possible when it comes to race day tomorrow, and we will be with you every step of the way. We'll see you tomorrow for the post-race show and for reactions from myself and Joe and maybe a couple of guests. Hunter McElroy might be joining us, we'll see. But until then, for IndyCar and for all things NASCAR, WRC, F1, all things motor racing, stay to the grid.